Hey, everybody, it's Doug Green, and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News. And we're back with another special podcast of Pots and Shots with my good friend Jake Jacoby, CEO of TelCloud. Jake, thank you for joining me again.
Thanks, Doug. Good to see you. Good to see you again. Happy to be here.
So it's great seeing you, and it's been also great seeing you at some of the events this season. For folks that have not seen this series before, we're exploring the issues and opportunities that go with replacing all that copper, formerly known as pots. We're also exploring the great tequilas of the world. So hang out. It's 5 o'clock Friday somewhere if you're watching this video, whenever you are. And there's some really good stuff ahead, both as a great opportunity and some good relaxing ideas. But for now, we're going to be talking about is ignoring shutdowns is a risk you can't afford. That's our topic. And Jake, what are the most common risks businesses face when they are replacing their legacy copper lines?
Yeah. So obviously, as we've talked about in other series, a lot of these POTS lines are used for emergency services, right? So some of the top ones are fire panels and elevators, right? So let's talk about elevators first, right? So a lot of times these traditional POTS lines aren't even monitored. So you don't know if that line is working or not working until you go to use it. So think about power goes out in a building and you get stuck in the elevator. Maybe there's no cell signal. You don't have your cell phone on you. You push that button and it doesn't work, right? That's a problem. So having a solution that is code compliant and stays up in emergencies when the power goes out, that's very important, right? It's like, again, life safety. So, and then on the fire side, right, it's these lines and communication paths are required by law. So what happens is if those lines go down, that means that fire panel for the building cannot communicate with the central station, and therefore you are out of compliance, and you have to go on as a business what's called fire watch. So fire watch is when you actually have to hire somebody to physically every 20 minutes walk the perimeter, walk the building, make sure there's no fires. And that's 24/7 a day, 24/7 hour, 24 hours a day. And so, again, it is for life safety to keep people, again, commercial buildings, to keep everybody safe and make sure that, these lines are communicating. But that's why these are important, right? And so I think I've said it many times that even though POTS lines are going away, this communication path is not, right? We're always going to need that, right? Some type of communication path. And maybe in the future, even on TelCloud solution today, you don't necessarily have to make a phone call to do it, but you have to have some type of IP path to communicate. So again, Firewatch, and then, code compliant. If that line isn't working in the elevator, you can't use the elevator. So again, that puts a big hamper on the business, and just life safety wise, you just want to keep everybody safe. So
and so I understand the carriers are enforcing something called shutdowns.
Yeah, so I think there's a little bit of nuance around that. So it's really the carriers want to shut down the copper, and the reason for that is that legacy copper that the POPs, the central offices and the POPs where all that copper runs, that's real estate, that's space, and that copper deteriorates over time. So it's very expensive to maintain it. And the problem with it is that they're not using the majority of it anymore, right? So whereas 50 years ago they were using almost 100% of it, now they're using 5 to 10% of it, but they still have to maintain that. So that's very costly. So like we talked about in other series, the carriers are investing in fiber and wireless, right? And so that's the future. Wireless backed up and on a footprint of fiber. So it's really the carriers went to the FCC, which regulates carriers in the United States, and said, hey, we want to shut this down. We don't want to maintain it. It's too costly, and we're not generating enough revenue to even maintain this, and we're investing in different places. Well, because this was regulated and it was a utility or is a utility, they had to get permission first. So that's already happened. And now what's happening is they're systematically shutting these down, and really for, financial purposes, but in order to, transition from that old technology and not have to maintain it and really invest in new technology like fiber and wireless.
Now, I understand you get a 30-day cutoff notice. Is that right?
So the FCC mandates notices, right? So they'll mandate that the carriers have to give this notice. The nuance, though, is even though they they have to give the 30 days notice, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're cutting you off in 30 days. Sometimes they give the notice and they still don't shut it down for a while, or after past that 30 days, they can shut it off anytime. So if you've been given a notice and it's been past 30 days, it's a hit or miss whether your line's going to be working every day, right? So, that's just not a gamble you should really take if you're running a business or, have life safety lines, that you're supporting. So really the idea is get ahead of it, right? Understand what you have, understand who your carrier is, understand when they're shutting things down, because they are shutting them all down, and how much time do you have? The other thing is that this is happening to everybody, right? So we're seeing in our business almost this critical mass or this feeding frenzy of POTS line replacement. And like we've talked about in the past, there's not really enough time to replace everything that needs to be replaced in the time frame in which it needs to be replaced. So what does that mean to you as a customer or as a reseller is that you can get in situations where, there's not enough techs, or the techs are busy, or the inventory is already purchased and, you're waiting for new inventory to show up. There's just, it takes time to go out to each location and replace these, even though the installation's quick, but you just want to get ahead of it. You want to be proactive, right? And the beauty of this is that you're going to save money, right? These new services are actually less expensive and more reliable, and it's a path for the future. So if you can be proactive and get ahead of it, you're really going to be in a better position.
And that's what you're urging the resellers to be, as opposed to sort of waiting around for that panic call from the cutoff notice.
That's right. Yeah. Have the conversations with your customers. Talk to them about their needs. Find out about, how many locations they have, how many lines, and put a plan in place, right? And so at least be proactive and put that plan in place. Start replacing these lines. And, the bigger the customer, the more time it's going to take to do that. But if you project manage this right, you can roll it out, and you're going to save them money over time. So,
well, Jake, now we've talked about the excellent opportunity. The advice for the day is to be proactive, and also to be there for the customer who's waited around and has also gotten that notice to be prepared. Now we get to the fun part of this podcast, the shots part. So we are taking a world tour of the world's best tequilas. What type of tequila do you have for us today?
So today, it's actually kind of special. I'm actually in Mexico today, and we have a call center down here in Tijuana that serves the largest carriers in the world. And so that's where one of our call centers is as well, and support center. So I was able to have access to pretty good tequila, which is a benefit of being in Mexico. The tequila I have today is called Siete Leguas. I think we might have talked about this in the past. Let's see if we can get the background to, there we go. See if you can see that. Wow. So this is a very special bottle or certain container. So I'm going to open it up. So let's see. I'll pull this out of here. It's got a nice packaging. You can see it's got wrap in here. And then if I open this up, pull it out of here. This is a Blanco tequila, but you can see right here. Highly recommended. It's one of my favorite tequilas. It's called Siete Leguas. And you can pick it up. Again, a sipping tequila, Blanco. We're going to talk in some of the future ones about the difference between Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo, but Siete Leguas. And I think it, if I recall, it is the name of Pancho Villa's horse.
Oh, wow. So it's historic.
Historic, yeah. So again, little things on how they name these things, but very good tequila, one of my favorites, and highly recommend it.
Now, for the uninitiated, for people that are watching this for the first time and haven't had already a full education on tequila, this I notice is a clear tequila, and those of us who have had other types may be surprised by that.
Yes. So tequila always starts out clear, or they call it blanco. Blanco tequila is the clear. That's how it starts, and then it gets its color by aging it, right? So you age it in different ways, typically in oak barrels, and so you would pick up some of the oak and the color, just like you age, other alcohols. But it's interesting. I was actually just looking at the back of this this thing here, the canister, but it shows, it's made in a traditional way with the Tajon. That's that big wheel. I think we talked about that a little bit when one of my other favorite tequilas, Fortaleza. So they make it in a traditional way. It is double distilled again, so very clean, very organic, but naturally fermented. But it's fantastic. So and then you have it displays nicely as well. So if you want to have it out on a bar or something like that, it's a nice little display. So yeah.
Well, Jake, I really want to thank you for joining us today. This has been most interesting. Thank you for this ongoing series on pots and shots. I hope everybody who's listening, maybe if you've seen this for the first time, take a look at the rest of the collection. There's a lot there, and we will be having more to come. But for now, Jake, thank you very much indeed for joining me. Where can we learn more about Telcloud?
Yeah, thank you very much, Doug. I appreciate it. You can visit us at telcloud.com or 844-900-2270. Give us a call. We're happy to help. Happy to be your kind of subject matter expert and have these discussions with your customers and help you as part of your team. So we'd love to partner with you.
Well, Jake, again, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Doug.